name is Greta Thunberg and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel. I urge all my friends, family and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
The Freedom Flotilla, as everyone kind of expected, this was honestly the best case scenario. There was really no world where the Freedom Flotilla was going to get to Gaza. We were afraid this was going to end much, much worse, given that there's a precedent, as we will see, for the Israelis gunning down flotillas attempting to bring aid to Gaza. But given that they had some celebrities on board, they tried to use it to spread propaganda about how nice they are, giving them sandwiches. Israeli forces seize Gaza aid boat carrying Greta Thunberg. Israeli naval forces boarded and seized a charity vessel carrying Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, which had tried to break the naval blockade of the Gaza Strip on Monday. The British-flagged yacht Madleen, which is operated by the pro-Palestinian Freedom Flotilla Coalition, had aimed to deliver a symbolic amount of aid to Gaza later on Monday and raise international awareness of the humanitarian crisis there. So we were tracking this all day. Everybody was. The Israel Katz, the Minister of Defense, tweeted this out. I instructed the IDF to act so that the hate flotilla, Madleen. Madleen, look, you take a look at this crew. Looks like the roughest thing they've ever been involved in is a game of hacky sack.
It's about very woke language. That's like what Maxine Waters would call the Trump boat parades in Florida. You know, the hate flotillas.
The Zionist movement is wokeness on steroids. It is all of the assumptions of wokeness, the protected class, the need to be given exceptional protections from speech and opinions, the needing to be walled off in safe spaces. It's all the woke ideology taken to its most extreme conclusion. The hate flotilla Madleen does not reach the shores of Gaza and to take any measures necessary for this purpose. To the anti-Semitic Greta and her friends who speak Hamas propaganda, I say clearly, you should turn back because you will not reach Gaza. Israel will act against any attempt to break the blockade or assist terrorist organizations at sea, in the air, and on the land. So they were intercepted while we were on the air last night, and these videos started coming out.
They are intercepting our boats right now. Please stay alert. We have no weapons. We are no threat. We carry only humanitarian aid. We are 12 people on board. There are ships surrounding us right now. So please make sure to be loud. We again impose no threat. We have no weapons. We carry only humanitarian aid to a starving population. 2 million people. Lift the siege, end the blockade, stop the genocide now. Now, so that we don't have to do this. Demand your governments do this so that we don't have to do this.
And then not long after, Greta Thunberg and many others who had been on the ship released pre-taped messages.
My name is Greta Thunberg and I am from Sweden. If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters by the Israeli occupational forces or forces that support Israel. I urge all my friends, family and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
Okay, so this was the route they followed, and that was their last tracked location. I think they were about 140, 150 miles out of Gaza when they got intercepted. They had come out of Sicily, out of a port in Sicily. So Israel put out this tweet, the foreign ministry. Good morning to all of our followers. In case you missed it, the selfie yacht. Listen, these guys have gone to the Donald Trump school of weird punctuation and emphasis, I think. The selfie yacht. He probably wrote it. Listen, I can help you. Your press department, they're not very good. They're not.
I just won't use the big capital letters. They'll never know it's me.
Yeah, you're not bringing the best people with these press releases. The selfie yacht is safely making its way to the shores of Israel. The passengers are safe and were provided with sandwiches and water and are expected to return to their home countries. The tiny amount of aid that wasn't consumed by the celebrities, that's what they did all this for. They were sitting there pigging out on ring dings and baby formula. That's what they were doing. They were consuming the aid. The tiny amount of aid that wasn't consumed by the celebrities will be transferred to Gaza through real humanitarian channels. The ones that shoot the people who come for the aid, those channels.
Right.
More than 1,200 aid trucks have entered Gaza from Israel within the past 2 weeks, and close to 11 million meals were being transferred by the GHF directly to civilians in Gaza. Now, what he's not mentioning is, I think it was called Boston Consulting Group, actually pulled out of this effort because of the horrific violence that the Israelis have been committing against the Palestinians as part of this effort. The two people in charge were fired and the CEO apologized. So great job, guys. There are ways to deliver aid to the Gaza Strip. They do not involve provocations and selfies. In fact, they do not even involve aid. So a little more of the article. Rima Hassan, a French member of the European Parliament who was also on board, posted on X that the crew had been arrested by the Israeli army in international waters around 2 a.m. A photograph showed the crew seated on the boat, all wearing life jackets with their hands in the air. Israel's foreign ministry later distributed a photo showing Thunberg in a green hat and orange life vest, smiling while a soldier held out a sandwich. The yacht is carrying a small shipment of humanitarian aid, including rice and baby formula. The foreign ministry said it would be taken to Gaza. Quote, the tiny amount of aid that was on the yacht and not consumed by the celebrities will be transferred to Gaza. All right, so this is the propaganda photo that they put out. Now, listen, clearly they had a meeting and they said, look, this could be very good for us. We don't shoot anyone this time. We give them, there's a 7-Eleven on the corner. They have the sandwich. They have, get a few sandwich. We take some pictures.
We give you a sandwich first we need your big smile for the camera, and then you get
you smile and we give you food. We don't shoot. Yeah, we don't shoot. You don't smile. We say you come with knife. You know how this goes. We make a fake recording of you screaming Allahu Akbar. You know what's going to happen to you, Greta. You think Exxon is stuff. Don't fuck with us. Okay, so Al Jazeera compiled some of the footage of the interception.
Quadcopters surrounded the vessel. These are pictures from the moment activists on board were told to take cover. Climate campaigner Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists were on board before communications were cut. The group was aiming to break Israel's siege on the Strip, a blockade that's illegal under international law. This is the moment the activists on board the Madleen ship were surrounded by Israeli authorities.
We're being boarded right now. We're being intercepted right now.
Please, everyone.
يخبرونا بأن نرفع أيدينا في هذه اللحظات حتى
Added to the long list of war crimes that Israel has been committing.
We are being intercepted right now. We have one IOF people coming our way. Everyone here is safe. No one is wounded right now.
الجميع لحد الآن لم يتعرض إلى إصابة. حافظوا على مواقعكم.
Please raise the alarm.
من فضلكم ارفعوا أيديكم.
Okay.
We are being intercepted right now.
قالوا لنا وطلبوا منا
if I can manage to close.
And now understand, this is by definition illegal. They're in international waters. This is piracy. This is a kidnapping. You are not allowed outside of your international waters to simply seize a ship.
The water I have both in my hands. They are here to intercept us. The boat is right behind me.
Phones need to go. Phones need to go, please. Toss it in the water.
Okay. And War Intel tweeted out, Israeli media portray them as happy and show Israel helping them in video one, but that's not true. Did Israel really force the Madleen Freedom Flotilla activists to throw their phones into the water before kidnapping them? In her latest tweet, Rima Hassan shows what's really going on there. So let's see, this video has been going around of them handing out the sandwiches, clearly for propaganda purposes.
Where is he?
So there's a little bit of what she tweeted out. She tweeted it in French, so it's difficult to find an English language translation, so I only have part of it. Israel once again violates international law with complete impunity. By intercepting a humanitarian ship in international waters, Israel once again tramples on maritime and humanitarian laws. Yeah, well, they really don't care about that. And somebody points out here, we remember Israel killing the 10 crew members on the Mavi Marinara 15 years ago. So let's take a look at Al Jazeera did a little bit on that.
Of course, the incident of the Mavi Marmara some years ago, where 10 passengers were actually shot dead by Israeli commandos. And I think what's particularly concerning here is the campaign of vilification and demonization of the passengers of these activists, and of Greta Thunberg in particular, who's being smeared as a jihadist, a Nazi, and all the rest of these familiar terms. I should add, these 12 activists, the worn out soles of their shoes have more courage and integrity, certainly than the West, certainly more than the leadership of the entire Arab world combined. And I think it is only going to be massive public pressure on these totally unresponsive Western governments that is going to have any impact, because we now know that the existing governments will simply not take the consideration of their constituents, of their public opinion into consideration. And something drastic has to change before we can see an improvement in the Gaza Strip, because ultimately this is really about a live stream genocide, about a deliberate policy of starvation that needs to be addressed.
Now, the Mavi Marmara, this is 15 years ago, which gives you some idea that the claim that this started on October 7th, obviously it started long before 2010 as well, but they killed 10 crew members on a very similar international ship. It was a Turkish boat with an international crew trying to bring aid into Gaza. They manufactured fake anti-Semitic radio signals that were later found to be doctored by Israel to justify it. They said they attacked them. Really, like a bunch of aid workers, these heavily armed IDF soldiers board your boat. And yeah, they went at them. So pretty disgusting. And that could easily have happened here. And Francis Cassandra Coppola here says, the only reason Israel didn't kill the crew members of the Madleen was that they included Greta Thunberg and Rima Hassan. I'd say there's probably a better than even chance that it is true. That if they had not been on that boat, this would not have ended without fatalities. And that's why what they did was so brave, because when you're dealing with a psychotic, deranged nation like Israel, you don't know. They might blow it up anyway and claim it was an accident, or It was a gas tank ruptured when they were boarding. Make some claim. They don't care. Turkey calls Israel terrorist state over seizure of Gaza aid ship Madleen. That's a first step. Now, why don't you actually take some action against them? That would be nice to see. Aiden Semardone, Zionists. If you love Palestinians so much, why not go to Gaza? Greta Thunberg, I am going to Gaza. Zionists, kill this woman. That's a good way to put it. Our illustrious president took Miriam Adelson strap-on out of his ass long enough to comment on this, and this is what he said.
Go ahead. Do you have a message for Greta Thunberg, and did she come up on your call with the Prime Minister today?
Well, she's a strange person. She's a young, angry person. I don't know if it's real anger. It's hard to believe, actually, but I saw what happened. She's certainly different. Anger management. I think she has to go to an anger management class. That's my primary recommendation for her.
Kidnapped by Israel, as she says? Was she kidnapped?
I find it. I think Israel has enough problems without kidnapping Greta Thunberg.
And secondly, are you going to
Is that what she said? She was kidnapped by Israel?
Yes, sir. Are you going to get...
She has literally been kidnapped by Israel. Literally. You Caesar, you got your mute on.
I was about to say, well, he didn't know about that? Well, you didn't know? Oh, they're kidnapped by Israel, yeah.
Is that what she said? They kidnapped? Yeah. She's even angrier than the girls I met on Jeffrey's. Never mind. Next question.
Rid of the Tesla and the Starlink service that you have here at the White House?
Yeah. I'd like to know how he answered that, actually. Breaking. Sweden abandons Greta Thunberg. Sweden's foreign minister, Maria Malmer Stenergard, said that Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists illegally detained by Israeli forces are not in danger and do not require consular support via Swedish media. So, hey, the Zionist Hasbara propaganda machine is definitely eroding. Its ability to control the narrative worldwide is definitely on the wane, but it's still there. In addition to Sweden, I haven't seen furious denunciations from France, from Spain, from Brazil, from America. Obviously, Donald Trump's denying that this is actually a kidnapping, which it literally is. They abducted these crew members on a boat that was in international waters. As by definition, they kidnapped the crew and stole, really, their boat, by definition. But hey, the conversation is changing. This got a lot of attention, and now we'll probably cover this tomorrow, and we'll see going into next week when we come back on here. There is a march going out from Egypt that thousands of people are taking part in, going to the Rafah border, kind of a land version of this. And that you can't stop it. The momentum is all on the side of activism. And we just shared a poll. People around the world, I think the only country on the poll where the majority had a favorable opinion of Israel was India. That's it. Every other country in the poll, the majority to the overwhelming majority was against Israel. You cannot sustain these propaganda efforts in the face of that kind of resistance.
Yeah, I think in America, something like 45% favored Israel, 53 opposed, if we're referencing the same poll. And then if you look at, almost all of the European countries, it's well into the 60s, if not the 70s. Right. If not the mid 70s. That's obviously a good sign. And it's obviously a good sign that they felt the need to get their propaganda pictures in, giving them sandwiches and showing them being taken care of. And I do think that is largely a function of the fact that Greta Thunberg was on that boat.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
they decided that was just too much to kill Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, like what if God forbid they actually did that? Right. That would, now you're talking about just a world historic scandal, which is kind of perverse since, obviously I got hats off to Greta, but she's one person. They've killed already hundreds of thousands in Gaza. So it's kind of perverse that it would be absorbed that way, but reality is reality. It would be absorbed that way. It would be absorbed that way. And so I do think the fact that she was on that boat is what made it far, far, far less likely that things would get violent.
And she knew that, and to her credit, I'm sure that was her rationale for doing it.
Yeah. Yep. Now they just have to get the hell out of there. She has to enroll in those anger management courses that Trump recommended, because I'm sure the anger management program in Israel is not very good. That does not seem like a country with good anger management therapy.
Well, it's the world's only anger management program where they encourage you to get angrier.
Yes, right. Yes, exactly.
Hey, if you watch this show, you already know the media lies for the establishment nonstop. They lied about Russiagate, Ukraine, COVID, the lockdowns, all of it. That's why I keep partnering with Ground News. Their app and website make it super easy to compare media coverage from all over the world in one place. It's actually very handy. Like on Trump saying Zelensky is prolonging the war by refusing to cede Crimea to Russia. Well, if you go to Ground News/JD, you'll get instant access to nearly 600 articles covering it worldwide. Ground News will even tell you if each reporting source has a political bias, how reliable the reporting is, and if they're independently owned or corporate controlled. They'll even show you where news sources are based. It's a super helpful way to see how UK media says Trump's walking into the Kremlin trap. Kiev points out they're under missile attack, and antiwar.com says Zelensky is actually the one holding things up. 3 different versions of the same story, and exactly why you can't just take the first headline you see as fact, especially when Trump's involved. You know the media is going to twist it into whatever it fits their agenda, so I can't recommend enough following the Ukraine war and even politics on Ground News. Check your blind spots and find the stories missing from either side of the political spectrum. You won't get this kind of transparency from mainstream media. Ground News is a lot like this show, actually. They're doing what we're doing. So just go to ground.news/JD or just scan the QR code on the screen. We're offering my viewers 40% off the same plan I use, which gets you unlimited access to all their features. This knocks the price down to just $5 a month. Subscribing not only supports an independent news platform working to make the media more transparent, it also supports this show and everything we do here. Come see us on tour in Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, Liverpool, Birmingham, and London. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.